Hi, Professor. It's Evelyn. Today I will be showing you my presentation. Um, don't mind my background. I tried to get as quiet as I could, and I'm a little sick, so don't mind me. I will be showing you my presentation. So my presentation is on poetry, and I have decided to do it on poetry because I understand it like at a certain perspective, and I love poetry. I have analyzed from an author that I really like, and her name is Linda Davis. And Linda Davis is one of the most famous poetry writers out there. I learned a lot about her too, and that's why I have decided to do my presentation on poetry. Um, what I have also found that my love for poetry is like really like I love it a lot because I can find my own meaning to it, and I learned a lot because poetry is one of the best like stories I can read and understand at a certain perspective, and I decided to do it on that. Some of the background I found on poetry was in the 25th century, poetry was first written in Africa. So poetry was very popular back then in the ages. Poetry is also the art of writing. Poetry is the literacy work in which a special and intensity is given to expression of feelings and ideas to a certain style or rhythm. This is why I also like poetry because it has like an art to writing. So like it was saying, it shows you an expression of feelings and ideas, so it makes your art of writing of a writer go have flows in your brain to know what you're writing about on poetry. Poems are a great example of poetry. Poems are an amazing way to express poetry, and they're also creative and interesting to read. Um, I love it, and poetry is one of the reasons why I also chose poetry because it helps you express with your feelings. So, poetry is a way to get your feelings and ideas to float around and be creative with it. Um, I have done it on Linda Davis, which Linda Davis was an American short story writer novelist. She was born on July 15, 1947. Ever since she started writing in 1976, she has started writing her own novels and poems. So I decided to do one poem that I thought was outstanding was called The 13th Woman. But this seller was an amazing story that I found interesting. But not only that, but until 11 years later, Break It Down in 1986, she had won the first literacy like prize for her writing, and I thought it was amazing because she in that story, it sounded like she had her writing go in a certain way that would express your feelings and understand the more writing of poetry back then. So I also like that. I also said ever since she has been writing all sorts of novels and poems, I loved her work. I believe she's the best novelist writer I like ever learned about, especially in poetry. She has a lot of good like poems and poetry, and I love the way she just writes poetry in general overall. Um, Also, I found that I loved two of her poems. One of my poems that were my favorite is Head Heart by Linda Davis, and the other one was What She Knew by Linda Davis. Head Heart was basically the love trying to find in poetry. Defining poetry is like in this poem it was trying to tell you how your love for something or someone is comparable, and she explains it in her poem, and overflows with ideas of how poetry of how her expressions and ideas overflow in her poem. The second one that I found was What She Knew. I believe that this poem was trying to say that she was referring to her as an old man, but that was really a young woman. So apparently a young woman trying to understand the love, but this old man, like, she's trying to seek an old man that knows how to care for her or find someone that thinks just like her. So she uses the same way in poetry, expressions and ideas on how to make sure, she gets to her point and uses her expressions and ideas to get to what her poem is trying to say, which is, like I was saying in this poem, that she was trying to find love, but to her own perspective as young love. So in conclusion, poetry is such an amazing work of art through writing. Reading it and writing it is such an artwork through poetry because it helps literature be more entertaining, and it's been here for a long time, and using it right now can be such an excitement. We need to be using it more often so we can express our ideas of flow, of ideas on writing, and use it wisely so we can use it in our better writing nowadays. So using it can also be like escaping the world and help writer read it to help you understand it in a better way to help you. Poetry is a big literature in the world of writing. Poetry is very famous because you can express yourself in your own writing. I also found it interesting when I did a little research on it, and the world of wonders of writing in poetry is amazing. So, in general, I learned a lot. Poetry is an amazing form of writing, and I recommend everyone doing poetry, but up to you guys. And thank you so much for your time.